Hi guys, it's Quinn's Ideas here. Now, as some of you may know, a prequel for Game of Thrones is coming out in 2022. Now, this prequel is set during the Dance of the Dragons. So this is the time when most of the dragons died because there was infighting within House Targaryen. You might also know that this wasn't the original intended prequel. They were working on a totally different show at first, The Long Night, which would tell the origin of the White Walkers. But that show was scrapped. And I have my beliefs as to why it was scrapped. I think they realized that the backlash against Season 8 was so intense that people just didn't want to see any more White Walkers. It was ruined so badly that people just don't really care. And I think a lot of people honestly felt like that. And so they decided, let's pivot to the thing that works, which is tits and dragons. So that's what we got now. House of the Dragon. Now, let me just say this. George R. R. Martin's book, Fire and Blood, is a fantastic book. It is great. I enjoyed immensely learning about the Targaryen history, or seeing an expanded version of the Targaryen history from what we got in the World of Ice and Fire. The Dance of the Dragons itself was a very trying and tumultuous time for House Targaryen. There's a lot of drama, so I understand why this would potentially be a good setting for a show. But I don't have any trust in this production at all. Now, I made a video way back before Season 8 aired titled, Why I'm Not Hyped About Season 8. And I made an argument that hype makes it even worse when it doesn't live up to your expectations. My expectations for Season 8 were negative 1,000, and somehow they still screwed it up. So even though David and Dan have nothing to do with Fire and Blood, even though these guys are off in the shadows somewhere, the Game of Thrones television universe still has that stink upon it. Because we know that all of this, all of the Targaryen struggles ultimately lead up to one last Targaryen burning down her ancestral city and going down as a mad woman for no reason. A savior, she will be remembered as a destroyer, and that's what all of that leads to. So it's kind of hard to get excited when I know it ultimately reaches such a nihilistic endpoint. All that being said, even given the nihilistic ending of Game of Thrones, that doesn't mean that this show will be objectively bad. But what I am saying is, my expectation bar is very, very low. One, because I don't want to be shocked by disappointment again. And two, because it's still HBO. And regardless of how bad objectively Season 8 of Game of Thrones was, regardless of how much we can go and look at it and point out all of the bad decisions and all of the crazy writing choices, regardless of all of that, it was still the most successful season of any television show ever. It was immensely successful, and HBO is aware of that. And the thing about big corporations is when something works, they do it over and over and over and over again. It's gonna be Game of Thrones, but with a bunch of dragons this time. Dragons everywhere, dragons in every episode. Like, they made a big deal in Season 8 about how there were dragons in every episode now. But where's the substance? And again, I'm not prejudging this show, but I am saying that we should go into this with caution, because there's a chance that this could be really, really bad. Think about it this way. How often are spin-off shows better than the original thing? Not very often. I mean, that might have happened a few times, but not very often. I mean, Star Trek Next Generation, okay. But is the Game of Thrones sequel gonna be better or worse than Game of Thrones? If I put my money on it, I would say worse. You know, Game of Thrones hurt me bad. I have been a fan of A Song of Ice and Fire for so many years, and to see Game of Thrones do 3 really good seasons that were almost perfect, and then to do a 4th season that was pretty good, and then to do a 5th season that was like, oh my god, what are you doing? And then do a 6th season that was like, oh my god, please stop this. And then 7th season was just like, oh my god, what happened? It's dead. It was dead on arrival. When season 8 began, Game of Thrones was dead on arrival. The baby was dead. Another thing I would wonder as well is, how successful is this show going to be? I know they're gonna have probably several Daenerys wannabe characters. They're gonna try and repeat a bunch of Daenerys stuff. It's all about, we're gonna have 1,000 Daeneryses walking around. But I wonder how successful this show is really going to be, because I haven't seen much interest floating around out there. They've been pushing this. I've been seeing the ad pop up on TV sometimes. It'll just say House of the Dragon. But I haven't really seen a lot of hubbub around it in the way that, other things get hubbub around when they just post teasers. The Star Wars just posted teasers and people went crazy. No one's really talking about this. No one really seems to care. And I think that is because even if people can't point out exactly why, most people ultimately were not satisfied with that ending. Even if they went out of it saying, oh, I liked it, most people were not satisfied because subconsciously your brain realizes that the payoff is not there. The character arcs were not completed cohesively at all. You had people acting totally out of character. No one understood why Daenerys did what she did or any of it. So I think that fact alone has a lot of people way less excited. If the Game of Thrones had been as good as, D&D think it was or tried to say it was, then the hype for this new show would be through the roof. People would be going crazy. If Game of Thrones Season 8 had ended on a strong note, if it had been a masterpiece, people would be flipping out. But because it was so bad, I feel like almost no one cares. And, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe this show will be the Star Trek Enterprise for the Game of Thrones television universe for right now. And we'll just get a hiatus, we'll regroup, and then we can have an animated adaptation of A Song of Ice and Fire at some point in the future. One more thing. Now, relatively recently, there was some casting news about House of the Dragon, and Matt Smith, Doctor Who. This is actually quite funny because if you watch Doctor Who, there's so many Game of Thrones actors that show up on Doctor Who like all of the time. And I really enjoyed the first season of Matt Smith's Doctor Who. I felt like his other seasons were all of the episodes were hit or miss, but that first season I thought was pretty solid. And, I'm curious to see what he brings to a Game of Thrones type show. I haven't seen him in quite, the more serious roles. I know he's on The Crown as well, but I haven't really had an opportunity to see him in a more serious role. I've only ever seen him as wacky Doctor Who, absent-minded Doctor Who. So it'll be cool to see him. Overall, I wish this show the best of luck. I would love it if this show was really good and it knocked my socks off and I was just wowed and it was visually stunning and the acting was amazing and the writing was amazing. I would be so happy. I would be happy if it was just decent, if it was just watchable, if it was better than, the last 4 seasons of Game of Thrones. I would be happy. But I can't bring myself to get hype for all the reasons which I just listed. So there you go, everyone that has been asking me to say something about House of the Dragon. That is for you. Thank you guys so much for listening. Make sure you like and subscribe for more Quinn's ideas. And also, please guys, follow me on Twitter. I'm trying to get to 30,000 followers on Twitter in 2021. That's my goal for next year. So if you guys would please just click the link in the description, go to my Twitter account, hit follow. You can see all the kooky antics that go on Twitter. I'm always posting polls and riling people up. It's a different side of Quinn's ideas on Twitter, so just be prepared for that. Thank you guys so much. Peace out.